with a leader in business and, of course, one of our partners and who has joined hands with us. And, of course, he's the CEO of Africa Business Excellence. And, of course, it's Mr. Tsepo Ntshona. Let me give him a big round of applause. All right. Slow down, guys. Slow down. Mr. Tsepo Ntshona is looking very fly, and of course, as always dressed in a suit, looking shwaka. And of course, Mr. Tsepo Ntshona, how are you doing, my brother?
Well, my brother, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Urban Edge.
Thank you for having me. This looks fantastic. This is very great.
Yeah.
Nice setup.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for joining hands with us as Urban Edge. And of course, it's been an absolutely amazing journey just to start with you and just to say, welcome to Urban Edge. You as a partner with us. And of course, you have come on board to say, guys, we believe in the vision of Urban Edge and we want to be partners with you. And yeah, man. So welcome to it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Very excited about the journey ahead.
Absolutely, my
Yes.
brother. No. So let's jump right into it. Let's quickly talk about Mr. Ntshona, just to introduce you to our viewers and, of course, to our urbanites about who Mr. Tsepo Ntshona is.
Right. Yeah, good day to all the urbanites. It's really a pleasure to be here. Really enjoy this opportunity to come and converse. So Tsepo is a simple guy. I was raised in the Eastern Cape in a small town called the Alice. For those who might know, the University of Fortes there. So some of the greats, have graced themselves. Alice, the likes of Nelson Mandela, they've been through there. So I come from that small town. An academic family. My grandfather was one of the first, black doctors in the Eastern Cape. So
Yeah.
Dr. Ntshona Wilberforce. And I was raised by women, interestingly enough. My grandmother, my mother, and her siblings, they raised myself and my cousin. So I grew up there, normal childhood, a lot of dreams, a lot of aspirations. I really enjoyed my childhood. And then, I came to Johannesburg when I was still younger, still studying there in the Eastern Cape, but we moved over to Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And that's where I found my pathway, found the love of my life here.
Yeah.
Built my family here, and God has graced me 2 beautiful daughters. So, that's who Tsepo is.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's amazing. So what did you study?
So it was business management.
Yeah.
More self-study than anything else. So what's kind of interesting is I thought I would be a musician, right?
What?
My passion was,
Okay.
I saw myself being on stage. I was in a group.
No
Interestingly,
ways.
I was in a group that God released and we
Singing.
used to singing.
What?
To sing.
Okay.
I thought that was my pathway.
Yeah.
But obviously God had a very different
Wait,
plan.
gospel or R&B?
It was R&B then,
No
mix of
ways.
Afro-pop. Yeah.
Don't tell me you're Boys to Men type, Silk type.
Funny enough, that's one of my favorite groups, Boys to Men, But
Okay.
we were, there was 4 of us in a band.
Yeah.
So I thought my life would be the pathway of music.
Yeah.
But along the line, you sort of find different interests. But I've always had a big knack for reading, right? And what I used to find very interesting was how companies were managed, structured, how they created value and delivered value. And that really, really drew me to business, as it were. At the time, I didn't know it was business.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, what the terminologies were. But then you go through this interesting journey because you uncover new concepts, you get excited about these concepts. So it was mainly more self-study. So I thought events management, I'd gone to Intech College. I thought I'm going to study events management because I want to do music, and that's my pathway. And then the business bug got me.
Yeah.
And then I did a lot of self-study, started to, really grab onto a lot of exciting concepts.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what's interesting as well is at school, I didn't enjoy accounting at all.
You didn't?
I didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
I enjoyed numbers to a certain degree, but accounting wasn't my favorite. But funny, later on in life, with transaction advisory and corporate finance, it actually became one of my most interesting areas of study, So it's interesting in life how you sojourn and you find yourself as you go along. I did a lot of self-study, had interest at one stage around politics. I thought I would,
Yeah.
be a politician. But it became a road less traveled. Obviously, trying
So
to find myself.
you got on that road and you quickly left that road.
Very quickly, very quickly. I think
Yeah.
I was disillusioned at one stage, and I thought I'm going to change the world. But politics, rude awakening, very
Yeah.
rude awakening. So then I retreated to the private sector, and business just seemed to be a passion. I think more so solving problems. I think one of the interesting things is self-discovery, right?
Yeah.
I'm the person, I'm of the view that your life's got to count. So I've always wanted to attach myself to a purpose. So even music, you'd find that the songs I wrote were about upliftment,
Okay.
helping people, etc.
Yeah.
So that's my pathway. I think I was trying to find myself, and I think business became the most plausible route. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, a lot of business people always say, I started so many businesses, so many companies, and I flopped along the way.
Right.
How's your journey been? I mean, how many companies have you had?
Spot on. There's been I can't count. There's a lot. There's a lot of companies that have started and failed.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the entrepreneurial journey, right? If anybody says I started a business and it succeeded, they either very, very lucky or they're not telling the full truth.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the key learnings are in the failings, right?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, if I look at Africa Business Excellence now, it has components of some of the things that I did in the past that some didn't work, some did work, and it's a confluence of it. So failure, I failed a lot. Painful journey, lot of setbacks, a lot of sleepless nights. But one thing I really learned was, going back to tying your life to a purpose, is that if you're not participating in a business or creating an enterprise that is purpose-driven, you won't go the long route.
Yeah.
Because your purpose is what's going to keep you going even during the hard times, right?
True.
So if you're there to make a quick buck, trust me, you're not going to cut it. You're going to start this business and fail and not want to try again.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's purpose-driven, if it's a problem you want to solve or a need you want to meet, that's going to keep you going through the hard times. So I failed a lot, many times. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And they just keep rising up all the time.
Yeah, well, again, back to the point of the purpose. Remember, business is always going to be iteration, right? It's not a straight line. I think the fallacy that happens is you pick up somebody's biography and you read their journey, right?
Yeah.
They don't tell you about the failures, or they don't dwell a lot on the failures. You know? So it's almost like they did this and then boom, one day it happened. But that's not how it in real life how it actually goes. You fail a lot, you get back up, you learn from your mistakes, you iterate, and you have to learn to be flexible. Sometimes we can be so committed to a wrong idea that you can suffer for a very long time because you just didn't want to change. You weren't flexible enough to say, well, let me reiterate, let me look at it from this perspective. And then again, getting feedback.
Yeah.
Right? Your biggest judge, as it were, is the market.
Yeah.
Right? So the market is going to tell you yay or nay. Irrespective of what your personal sentiments might be, the market is either going to support you by purchasing your product or service, or they're going to say no.
Yeah.
I had a lot of beatings and failure. Go put your tail behind your legs, learn the lessons, and then come back and swing the bat again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, just in some of our opening comments, I wanted to find out, I spoke about two things. One, I know you've got an interest and a background of media as well. One is a business person getting involved in the issue of getting involved in politics. We've seen how Elon Musk is now, these billionaires have now joined the Trump train. And they are now ministers or they are responsible in government and they are making massive changes in government. What are your thoughts about business people getting involved in the likes of politics?
It's a very interesting one.
Yeah.
It's a naughty question, but I'll give it sort of my best shot.
Yeah.
I'm of the view that business business owners, entrepreneurs should be more focused on solving problems. Now, the question goes a begging is them solving problems in the public sector welcomed or not? I think it should be. However, I think the problem is when it has political nuances, right, where it becomes the issue. Because if your true focus is to solve a problem, whether it be public or private, your focus is around solving that problem. But if you get marred in the politics, I think that's where it becomes a bit of an issue. We know the likes of Mr. Musk. I mean, he's got some very influential enterprises, more so Twitter, right? It's highly beneficial for him to have such a big megaphone, but at the same time, he's got to be responsible with it. So yeah, I think in that sense, being too close to political activities can be a bit of a challenge. But if it's there to solve problems, by all means.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second question is around just in the comment I made earlier on, we've seen how podcasters have now made such an influence that a podcaster on their own can now be like a media enterprise. We've seen how MacG has turned just being a podcaster into a media business. And now DSTV realizing that they're losing numbers, and now they have brought in a couple of these influential podcasters and put them on TV. Just your thoughts on internet radio, online content creators, just making such a huge influence in terms of the media industry that was controlled by a few big players. Your thoughts on that?
Right. I think from liberation-wise, in terms of managing our personal content, I think it's great. But we know with such freedoms, needs to come a lot of responsibility, right?
Absolutely.
And I don't think it started only now with the podcast. I think the moment social media platforms took a rise, they sort of took away the power from traditional media houses and placed it in the hands of the consumer. And I thought it was a great thing because remember, people were able to disseminate content at their own whim. But again, it has had its downsides in the sense that because there's no censorship, because there's no controls, because there's no watching body over the dissemination of content, it can be very dangerous. We know we live in an era of misinformation, right? All good and well, you get given the megaphone, you get a big platform to distribute your content, but that content is not checked. Right? So you create podcasts, I think it's fantastic platforms, but all those platforms being used in a responsible manner. And that's where my concern is. I think it's great for these evolutions to have podcasts, to have for the control not to be centralized amongst these major media companies, but I think a lot of responsibility needs to be considered. There's the fact that you can say something now and have an audience of 1 million people and stuff going viral can be great if it's correct information being disseminated, but on the adverse, it can have some severe damages. Again, I think you mentioned during the break, and I mean, I'm not commenting or having much of an opinion of what occurred now with this podcast that's going viral with reason. But I mean, it got to the point where the man had to go impromptu to the set to defend an opinion that, had he not, would have gone unchecked.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it's a great thing on the one hand, but I think a lot of caution needs to be exercised in terms of being responsible.
Absolutely, man.
Yep.
All right. If you just tuned in, thank you very much for doing so. This is The Edge with Uncle Zach. And, of course, it brings us to 4:45 o'clock. And, of course, it's busy here at Hotel Sky. I'm seeing so many people walking past our beautiful studio right here. We are broadcasting all the way from Sandton. And, it's beautiful. It's a great day. It's a beautiful hotel. And my guest today is Mr. Tsepo Ntshona, who is the CEO of Africa Business Excellence. And of course, I'm going to chat to him a little bit more. But Mr. Ntshona, I did ask that we get to hear the different side of you, because you're such a, prim and proper guy. And of course, We want to know if you have a lighter side of you, and of course, what the people around you think about you and what they have to say about you. And I've got some voice notes. I want you to listen to them, and let's go through them because you are a partner, and we want to hear the type of man that you are. And I want us to take a listen to what these voice notes have to say about Mr. Ntshona. Let's take a listen to this. Okay. All right. Okay, why is it not playing? Let's quickly take a quick break, and when we come back, we will... they don't want to play. They don't want to play. Okay, let's quickly do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio.
Welcome to Urban Edge, your premier destination for dynamic and contemporary radio entertainment, serving South Africa and beyond. At Urban Edge, we are not just another radio station, we are a vibrant hub of audio and audiovisual content designed